here is that we all in the insurance industry talk about how our insurability can change over time, but we really don't believe it.
That's right.
We all think about the way our insurability over time can change, but we really don't believe it until we see it with somebody close to us, or until we actually have the chance to see a 35-year-old that went from preferred elite rates back when to not a chance in the world they could qualify for coverage now.
John, I don't believe it's believed so much as they fail to understand.
Oh, but you know what? It is, because to me, a belief actually creates a commitment to act. And the problem is that most of us understand insurability can change. Most of us don't really believe it, because if we really believed it, we'd be talking about it more.
Right.
Right?
If you believe you need a new boat, you go buy a new boat.
Yeah. If you really believe, you do. If you just understand superficially, there's no required action. And so the point I'm driving at here is that, to answer your question, if I've got this young educator, what are the reasons why I'm serious about life insurance for that young educator? Because I don't have any idea if or when their insurability is going to change. And I know that if it does, and they jump out of the airplane and don't have a parachute on, that's a problem. Right? I also understand that some of the dollars that I want to play offense with in terms of asset accumulation will never be enough, given even a 15 or 20 year time frame to accumulate. See, we haven't done financial calculators yet today, and guess what? $343 at 8% over a 15-year period is what? Does anybody have that calculation or know how to do that? Let's do that real quick. Let's just, because we're in the middle of the case study on it, let's hurry and understand a financial calculator real quick. Only a couple of things I'm going to tell you about a financial calculator. There are 5 variables. How many of you brought a calculator with you today, or have one downloaded, or have an app? Okay? There's only 5 variables. It's really pretty simple. The N is the number of time periods. I is the rate of return. Future value, payment, present value, in no particular order. Future value is what you're going to end up accumulating. Present value ends up being where you're starting. This is what it takes per month to get there, the payment. And then you've got the time frame over which you're compounding on the return. Now let me be very clear about this. 2 cardinal rules you have to understand, at least with an HP 12C. 2 cardinal rules. You have to keep N and I in same terms, in like terms. Let me give you the example. You just heard me talk about a 15-year period. I can either put N in as 15 and call it years, or I can put N in as 180 and call it months. 15 times 12 is 180, right? Now, if I put N in annual terms, then I have to put the I in annual terms. An 8% annual rate of return would work. 15 years at 8%. If I put it into the calculator in monthly terms, then I also have to break this 8% down on a monthly basis, and there's a button there that helps you do it real easy. Okay? But I have to reflect, this is going to be something like, and I don't know exactly, but it's going to be something like 0.63 a month in return. I have to keep N and I in annual or monthly terms, and I have to keep them in like terms. If I fail to do that, then my outputs will be wrong. Inasmuch as I do keep them in like terms, either annually or monthly, then whatever pops out in the payment line will also be monthly or annual, because payment is always kept in terms, in the same terms that I've reflected things here. So let's do this. If I'm going to put a payment, and you're going to wonder why I'm putting a negative sign here, if I'm going to put $343 a month on a monthly basis away, and I'm going to grow it at 8%, I'm going to put this monthly thing in, and that dictates that I then need to put these things in monthly. instead of annually. Make sense? I know what I'm trying to do here is a monthly figure, 343 a month. I'm going to explain the negative sign in just a second. If I know I'm putting 343 in there monthly, then I know that I have to reflect N and I as monthly figures as well. Ultimately, all three of these fields right here should be in same terms. Now to the negative sign. If I'm talking to that young educator and they're thinking about making a $343 a month contribution through payroll to their 403B, what do I know about the cash flow in that household? The cash flow is moving away from the household into the 403B. Therefore, from the household's perspective, it's negative cash flow. When that money comes back out of the 403B at retirement, as retirement income back to the household, then that would be considered positive cash flow to the household. But I'll tell you this, if I don't get this input correct, if I don't get that positive or negative sign right, then here's the deal. I can have any 4 of the 5 variables and solve for the 5th unless I screw the cash flow up. If I happen to want to solve, if I have the time frame, I know that in the end I want this much accumulated. I know that I can put this much away, and I know that I'm starting with 0 or 25,000 or whatever my present value is, because I've either not accumulated anything or I've already accumulated 25,000 somewhere. And I go to hit the I to have it solve for I, and I don't have that cash flow correct, it'll error out. It'll say, I will not solve for a rate of return unless you've got your cash flow in there properly. If you don't have it in there properly, it just errors out. Okay? If you do have it in there properly, you can solve for I, and it'll tell you what rate of return you need to make the rest of that equation work. So, let's do this, just for kicks and giggles. I know this is a long way to answer the question, but I hope it'll be more meaningful doing it this way. Who has that calculator? Where's my phone? Okay. Let me very quickly pop my 12C open. The physical version of the 12C is actually easier to work with than an app like this. Buttons are easier to push, but it's okay. Here we go. I wanted, this was in monthly terms, 343, so I'm going to go $343. I'm going to hit the CHS or change sign key, and I'm going to lock that in as the payment monthly. Does everybody see how that looked? 343 with a negative sign? Does that make sense? $343 has been locked into my registry as a negative cash flow monthly going out. Now I'm going to look at what if I didn't know how many months 15 years was? Then I could do 15 times 12, but it'll do it automatically for me on my calculator if I just go 15. And then if I use the little blue function key, the G down there, and I go ahead and hit N, because what does the little blue writing on the N key say? 12 times, right? So I can go 15 function N. Oh, look what it did. It locked in 180 months. Why do I know I needed that locked in monthly? Because I started with a monthly payment amount. Okay?
Oh, it corrected it for you?
What's that?
It corrected it for you? It corrected it for you?
No, I had to use the function key to get it to convert to monthly.
Okay.
In other words, my N key up there on the top row has a little 12 times below it in blue. So I knew if I wanted to 12 times 15, I had to go 15 function N, and then it locked in at 180 months. It did the calculation for me. Okay? Now, what's my I? We're going to give it an 8% return, 8% return over time, over this period of time. Do we need to put that in annually or monthly?
Monthly?
Yeah, because we're doing monthly here and monthly here, so we've got to keep it in like terms. Okay? So how do I do that? I go 8, the same blue function key, and hit the I button, and it says, oh, it's 0.667 instead of 0.63. Okay? 0.667 is my monthly rate of return to go with my monthly payment and my 180 months. Now you tell me in this particular example, is this young educator we're talking about, our case study, is this young educator starting with anything in their account accumulated? Do they have $5,000 already in the 403B, 3 years into teaching? I don't know. You tell me. Yes or no?
So yes.
We can either put a 0 as a present value, or we can put in the amount they've already got. Now, payment and present value are the ones that have this cash flow issue. How much is already in the account 3 years into teaching? What do you think they have accumulated in 403B already?
50 times 12, 50 times 9, 4,500 times 3. $50.
15,000 with,
15,000. Let's call it 15,000.
No, I guess
15,000. Now hold on. Is that 15,000 already accumulated? Sitting under the mattress in the coffee can or in the 403B? That 403B account is away from the household right now, so that 15,000 is actually, from a cash flow perspective, a negative figure. Make sense?
yeah.
15,000, change sign, present value, 15,000 locks in. Okay? What's the only thing that we haven't now solved for? We put 1, 2, 3, 4 things in properly. We now get to touch the future value key, and what does it say? So if we have 15,000 to start with, and we start adding 343 a month over 15 years at 8% a year. Anybody have any idea what we've accumulated over 15 years?
Not that
You
good.
threw me off with 15,000, but before the 15,000, it's 180, maybe. Do I have it right? Or is it 1.18? 1.18?
I committed the cardinal rule because I didn't have a figure anywhere near yours. Guess what my cardinal rule was? I didn't clear my registry out the last time that I used it. So I've been adding all this in on top of some other calculation.
What's the penalty for that?
And where do you put the
Yeah, CLX is the key. You've got to clear both. See the financial, it says above your CLX keys, there's one XY that says FIN in orange, and there's one that says REG in orange. You've got to clear both the financial registry and the regular registry. And you do that with that orange function key, because that's the color you have above those keys. So you go function, XY, CLX, function, CLX, CLX. Anyway, I've just cleared my registries. Here's the point. Let's run this again. 15 years, 8%. And I'm going to make this a little more simple. We're not going to start with 15,000 already accumulated. We're just going to say the educator has not started saving. So the present value is 0. Okay? We're going to go 0 present value. We're going to put 343 per month in. And the future value, what did you come up with?
I cleared my register too.
Oh,
I started over again.
Okay, go ahead.
118.
What is it?
118.
It is 118,691. 118,000, that's correct.
168. 15,000.
If you put the 15,000 in, let's do that. Change sign, present value, future value, 168,294. Oh my goodness. Guess what? Norm Sherman isn't here. So guess what? You know why the compliance department absolutely hates you out there working with the financial calculator?
How about bringing it? We don't clear our registries.
What's that?
We don't clear our
Because
registries.
we don't clear our registries, but because they can't be sure, and it's part of their job to be sure, they cannot be sure as a compliance department that you know whether the rate of return, did I use an unreasonable rate of return
I don't think so.
over a 15-year period?
Not over 15 years.
Well, over 15 years, if I'm not getting 8%, I've got a problem. Oh, this, you've been in your Nick Burry book, right? This time it's different. And oh, here's the deal. We'll get to all that. But guess what? 8% is very reasonable over a longer period of time. My question is this. Does the compliance department out of Springfield have any way to preclude you from illustrating what 18% would do? The calculator will do it.
Just don't put it in writing.
So do you see the compliance problem? The compliance problem is if they could be sure that every one of their registered representatives were out there knowing what would be reasonable to illustrate and what wouldn't, they wouldn't have a whole lot of heartburn over it. And they're, of course, where are you going to find an 8% rate of return over 15 years? Your favorite cash equivalent? Fixed index annuity. Don't get me started. Okay? But here's the question. Where are we going to get that rate of return? Historically speaking, equities. Yeah. So let me ask you now, here's an interesting question. If I know